As you know, we use this platform to share stories of resilience. And today I have a very special guest. Hey everybody, welcome to the Sally Ellen podcast. Again, I'm so glad you're here. And as you know, we use this podcast as a platform for people to share their stories of resilience. And today, I want to introduce you to a very, very resilient guest. Her name is Gigi Roundtree. And Gigi is an entrepreneur, she's an author, she's an activist, and so much more, but she's being really modest in all the things that she does. And Gigi is a pretty impressive human being. I mean, man, she had a brain tumor in 2019 and she survived that. And she will talk to us about this, but right now she has stage 4 cancer and she's doing all these wonderful things. And one of the reasons I brought her on is that I want her to share how she stays resilient even in stage 4 cancer, and focus on other people. Gigi is not focused on herself. All she does is focus in the community and how to help other people with that. Gigi Roundtree, welcome to the Sally Ellen podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. I'm so glad you're here, right? We met at the Elite Network. And when I heard a little bit of your story, you know, Christina had you share a little bit of your story, I'm like, I have to have this woman on my podcast because your story is so it's so incredible and it's so encouraging. So tell us a little bit about you, a little bit about your background and how you got to where you are.
Well, 2016, I actually moved here from Vegas. I'm actually from the Bay Area, California. And I moved here because, just something different. My daughter was young. She was 5 years old. And we just wanted, something a little bit to where, it was kind of away from family and kind of starting something new. And at that time, I kind of didn't know what I kind of wanted to do because I was still young and things like that. And her father actually, his family moved out here. So that was the reason why we kind of moved out here, just was for change and to be closer to them. And, I just did like the dead-end jobs and things like that, trying to find my place, thinking what I wanted to do. And I was like in corporate America, I put myself through school and I actually got my master's in information systems. So while working that field, I was like, I know there's so much more that I want to do. And my passion was to service others. And I was doing community service, with my family and people that I've met out here. And I'm like, I know this is something that I could kind of do on my own, but in a different way. So 2016, I kind of had the idea while I was in my office, like, I want to help people. I want to do a nonprofit. But I didn't even know what kind of things entailed in starting my nonprofit. So I did the work and my husband was like, you could do this, So I spent that year just trying to network and things like that. And I found my place like in the community just by helping other communities. I would do networking and things like that. And that's when I founded Common Tree. It was really just to service the disfranchised segment in our community because I just saw like a need for it, especially like with adults and especially children. So I ventured off and kind of went through like the school district to where I created a curriculum to where I mentor, inner city youth and those that kind of needed that mentorship and guidance.
Yeah. Wow. What struck me is I had a guest before you and he's in the tail end of his career and he wants to help people, but he doesn't know how. But what I hear you say is something very key. You went networking, like you just went to different networking to figure out what you wanted to do. Was your networking targeted towards nonprofits or were you selective or did you just go to, whatever networking events out there?
I actually went to like anything and everything, even if it didn't kind of suit me. I would just sit at round tables with older individuals that would invite me. I would go to, real estate events. I would go to anything that where I just felt that I could grow in even their industry. Because, someone knows somebody, and that's how I grew my network and grew my name and brand here in Las Vegas, especially with the work that I do, like in the schools.
Yeah. So having that IT background, is that what you use for the schools when you develop the curriculum for them?
No, I actually didn't use my background at all, really.
Interesting. Yeah. So did you use that degree and career at all, or?
Oh, I did. I was in that field for like 7 years.
Okay. But something also pivotal happened in 2016, right?
No, that's when I started my nonprofit, but 2019.
2019. So tell us about that, when you had your brain tumor.
2019, yeah, that was kind of a difficult year, I would say. I think the year prior is when I kind of went through the hurdles of, it started off where I didn't even know what anxiety was. And I think I was feeling it 2018 to where I fainted. It was at dinner. And after that, I was like, okay, maybe it was just a hot day. Maybe, I just needed some rest because it was a long day. And then after that, it kept continuously happening. So I would find myself, like in the ER all the time. And they were like, maybe you just have, do you know what anxiety is? You have anxiety. And I'm like, I didn't know what the feeling of anxiety was, So I kind of like looked into it, and the more and more, like, I think I put myself in more of a paranoid state. So after that, I was like, my dad actually flew in from California, and he was like, you need to go to the doctor. You need to find out what's happening to you, because every time I find myself in the ER, they're like, it's just anxiety, paranoid. So I was like, okay. So I ran the tests and things like that. And I did a PET scan, and they found out that I had a little tumor in the back of my head. So they're like, okay, we need to do surgery and things like that. And I think it was like 2 months after, because I got surgery February 19th of 2019. They took it out.
So your fainting and what you were going through had nothing to do. Did it have anything to do with anxiety, or was it the tumor?
No, it was just more of like, I was feeling a lot of head pressure, like extreme head pressure. So they thought like, oh, me like freaking out all the time was I guess they diagnosed me with having anxiety, but I didn't know what the feeling was. So I just thought, okay, I just had anxiety.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you never experienced anxiety before for the first time. So did it send you into a state of further anxiety? Now that you know that you have anxiety, you're getting anxiety from having anxiety.
Yeah. So that's why I was like, I never really thought about it, until my dad kind of pushed me, was like, you really need to kind of get some scans and things like that. And when I did, I was like, had more anxiety.
And I mean, what advice would you give to someone who's like, they're just going to a doctor feeling pressure in their head all the time, and they're telling doctors diagnosing anxiety? Wait, let me ask you this. Before you give that advice, did they offer you medication for your anxiety?
Oh, yes, they did.
Of course they did. Of course
but I'm not one to really take, medicines and things like that. I've always been more of a natural, holistic person. So I never took the medicine, and things like that. Because I remember I was hospitalized one day, and they tried to give me something to calm me, because it really got bad, my anxiety. And the more I felt really kind of more different, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah. But looking back, Gigi, what was that? It wasn't anxiety. So what was that? That was just a pain in your head manifesting? What do you think that was? What were you feeling? Your body is telling you, like, I have a tumor.
Yes.
Yeah. So what would you say to someone listening to this, if they're struggling with something like that? What advice would you give them now that you've gone through that?
I would say really listen to your body. Just get checked. You never know. Just rule out like the inevitable, because some people are in so much pain, and that is like their last resort. You know, they think like, okay, I can tolerate that and things like that. And I've seen people that put themselves in that position to only find that they have been diagnosed with something. So it's really, for me, that advice is really listen to your body.
Yeah, yeah. So something occurred to me as you're going through this. You're in the middle of your nonprofit also, and you're serving people. Did it discourage you?
You know what? I had a good team, a board of directors that really were there for me, because after surgery, I had to take some time off, you know, and I couldn't walk actually for 6 months.
Oh my.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Was that normal, or did you expect that?
They said it was probably expected, that I would kind of probably lose a little bit of my memory and my motor skills. So for 6 months, I was really, you know, doing physical therapy. I was really, you know, trying to push myself to walk, to drive, and things like that, you know, because I was always using like a walker. Yeah.
Wow. What was your thought process going through all that, Gigi? What was your mental state?
My mental state. I think just seeing my kids the way that they saw me, because there were at times where I did kind of forget their name.
Oh.
Yeah, so I was kind of only limited to kind of downstairs. So during that process, I did actually have to use like medicine, because the pain was so intolerable that there were times where I was just so delusional.
Wow. Wow. So it took you six months to heal from that process.
Yes.
And thank goodness, all the while you had a great team that's running your nonprofit.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. So fast forward today. When did you find out that you had cancer?
2021. I actually fainted again. I had a fainting episode. It was probably like around this time, like July 2021. I was actually making my son breakfast, and in the midst of talking to him, I went to the room and I had fainted. So he witnessed that, and he didn't know what to do. So he actually called my dad, who lived down the street. And my dad came, we rushed to the hospital, and all I knew was I woke up, saw my dad, and they were like, you know, you have to do like your tests and things like that again. And all I could think was, oh my gosh, it's probably my brain again. And then I started freaking out again, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't go through this again. And then we did the tests, and they told me that I had a chest wall, which was 7 centimeters, and it was sarcoma. But at the time, it was stage 3. So I was able to, they said, what do you want to do? You know, they gave me my kind of options and things like that. So I did chemo. So I did 6 cycles of chemo. So each cycle consisted of 1 week of chemo. So I did 6 weeks, 2 weeks break, and then I would do it again. And during that time, it's just like I wanted to kind of like give up.
Yeah. What kept you going?
I think it was probably sometime last year. My hair kind of started to fall out. Well, I actually lost all my hair. It was like my last cycle when they were like, oh, I did my last scan, and they told me that I had stage 4 and there was nothing they could do for me. And I think at that point, I kind of lost hope during that time. And sorry, I'm getting emotional.
It's okay.
And I think it was just like, if I'm going to go out this way, I'm going to do it like my way. So I found kind of the resilience in that, and I traveled the world. Like I went to Peru, I went to Colombia, and mostly South America. So I indulged like in the fruits. I spent time in the jungle and the Amazon, and I think then that's where I felt the most alive. So when I came back, I was like, I need to take back my life. I need to do things. I think I found resilience in that. And people ask me like, where do you find like all the strength to do all these things?
Yeah.
And I say, I think I needed to go through this because this is where I found my better self.
Wow.
Is going through all the things that I had to go through to get to where I am now. And even though that I'm still battling, I think that's where I find my strength is in those weakest moments.
Gigi, did you by yourself was there one day and you said, you know what? If I'm going to go out, I'm going out my way.
Exactly.
Right? You're not taking me out the way you want to. I'm going out my way. And my way is living life to the fullest. What helped you get there? Because it takes a lot of courage and strength, like wisdom, to get to that point in life. That's such maturity. Like, I don't know if I could. I'm getting emotional now because I just admire you so much in getting to that place in life. What helped you get there?
You know, because I've seen people also like struggle with this. And, you know, at times I see them allow it to like define them. And knowing myself and people that know me, like I'm a fighter. I'm going to fight through whatever, you know, gets thrown my way.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you know, I'm not going to let the things that kind of get me down define me as a person. I'm not going to allow my weaknesses to define me, even cancer, you know, and being in the hospital and seeing people battle cancer and chemo, it's like I didn't want to be that person that just sits there and you know allows their sickness to define them, you know, because I feel like if I'm in that mindset, the more and more I feel like I'm going to deteriorate.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, I need to take control of my life, and I need to do what's best for me to at least feel alive and rejoice in the days that I'm blessed with. And that's what I continue to do.
Yeah. So Gigi, from my understanding, I've had a couple of people on the show who's gone through chemotherapy, and it's very draining.
It is.
Physically and mentally, it's draining. But you still found the strength within that to say, like, this is not taking me down. This is not defining me. My weakest point, I wrote that down. I had to write it down. My weakness does not define me, right? And I feel like that is so powerful. Can you share with our audience, like, when did that moment come to you? Like I know, you know, you're feeling tired. You're losing your hair. Like, did you look at your kids? Did you look at your husband? Did you just look at your life overall? I know you've always been a fighter and you have this innate desire like to fight, right?
Right.
Fight. But there's always something that helps us to fight also, especially when you're in that weakened state physically, right? What was it, Gigi?
I think you said it for me. It was more my kids, you know, because I'm not going to lie. There were times where I just wanted to throw in a towel. You know, whether it be like coming back from chemo and just laying there like a vegetable and things like that. And just seeing like my kids, like the love that they have for me, you know, they've never left my side and things like that. And just them pouring into me, I was like, I need to find a way to just, you know, keep going and live for them, you know, because I just see what it would do to them if I was to be gone, you know, and I didn't want that.
Yeah. Were they as strong as you are? I know it can be, you know, there's sense like anytime mom could go. How were your family handling it?
You know, I'm very fortunate to have like a good support system, you know, not only from the community and my family, but, you know, my parents being here. And people just visiting and just people just pouring into me in a positive way. And the one thing that I would share is that I had good people that didn't remind me that I was sick. So that was the greatest part. You know, like before any time that I would enter a room, it was like you can feel the room, the energy of sadness.
Right.
You know, and I always had to tell, you know, people like, hey, you know, let's be present. Let's enjoy this time while I'm here, and because, a lot of times people get celebrated when they're gone,
Yeah.
and I'm like, celebrate me and others while we're here.
I love that point so much and that point of view. When you walk into a room, your family celebrates you instead of sitting there feeling sad. I had somebody else on the show who said everybody else was planning her funeral, and she said, "No, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to fight this."
Yes.
So for you to have that must be so much more powerful. But I interrupted you. You were at the part where you lost your hair. I'm going to bring people back. You lost your hair, and are you in full remission, or do you still, are you still in stage 4? What state are you in now, if you don't mind sharing?
Right now, I'm doing better.
Okay.
I'm doing better. My scans, they're still the same, but like I said, I don't allow that to kind of define me. But all I can say, I'm doing better. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a positive outlook. I'm doing better. I love that. Again, you're living truly, and saying what you said is that you're not gonna let that define you and who you are.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell us about Common Tree.
So Common Tree, I founded it 2016, really to service the disenfranchised segment of our community. So I started off doing a ton of community outreach, more in the downtown area because I saw a need there. Also doing a lot of feedings downtown and, at the Mission to where more of the homeless population. And after that, I kind of saw that I needed to get into the schools. I saw kids that were actually, wanting to get fed and things like that. So I wanted to be like a resourceful hub to where I did offer other things. So with my actual savings, I actually saved a ton of money to where I was able to create programs first for those coming out of homelessness and the prison system, to where I actually used the funds to where they were able to get housing. So I paid like 3 months of their rent, and they had to actually qualify and have, put them in job placement, offer them assistance, whether it be food, social worker, and things like that. And they actually had to qualify. So I picked 12 recipients, one for every month, for the whole entire year. And now, some of my clients out of the care complex program are doing good now.
Wow.
Just due to me being able to be that resource for them. And then I saw a need also in the schools with families in the Title I program. So they're living below poverty and things like that. So I got with the school district, and I was able to adopt a couple of schools out here in Clark County, to where I do fund some of their schools, their resources, and be able to bring in a curriculum which consisted of mentoring the students there at their school, which is an 8-week program.
Do you have people volunteering with you that's helping you do this?
Yes, I actually have a new school, Bryan Elementary School, and I just got 3 new mentors for that school.
Well, what don't you do, Gigi? You were just doing so much for the community. I knew you were doing, the last time we met, Christina was saying, "Hey, I have some shoes for you for your nonprofit," and I thought that you were just collecting shoes. I had no idea. This is all a surprise to me, which I like when it happens on a podcast, that you are doing so much for the community and you're giving back so much, and you're so people-centric and not even focusing on all the things that you've been through, which I absolutely love. So what's next for you? What's your next adventure?
Everyone asks me that. I'm still going to continue to pour into the community with my programs. Right now, I actually do have workshops. It's called the You Matter series. And one of my workshops is actually tomorrow, and it's Your Mindset Matters. So every month, like every other month actually, I'm doing something that focuses more on mental health to let everyone know, like, you matter, you know, whether it be like growth, mindset, and things like that. So that's kind of my you know, thing that I'm focusing on right now. And everything else, I always say, like, we would have to sign an NDA.
Okay. All
But I
right.
do have some great things that I am planning in the works, community wise.
So exciting. So for your You Matter series, is that an online series that people can attend?
No, it's actually in person. So it's an intimate gathering, 25 people, and things like that. Lunch is provided, and it's just a mastermind workshop to where we focus on those certain topics.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. That's amazing. And you do that every other month?
Yes.
Okay. Is it open to the public? Can people sign up? Or you're
Yeah, so tomorrow's are already sold out, but the next one I'm planning to do is September 23rd. And I'm actually going to release that to the public sometime next month.
Okay. So Gigi, you're doing a lot. What do you do for self-care?
Self-care. What do I do for self-care? I think this is my self-care. You know, just really, like I was telling you earlier, just rejoicing in every day that I'm blessed with, you know, being present and things like that. And of course, I love my alone time. But it's always just being there, being present.
Yeah. How many kids do you have?
I have two.
Two. How old are they?
My daughter's 22. She's a hairdresser.
Nice plug. Nice plug.
And my son, he's 13.
He's 13. Gigi, what's a takeaway for our audience today?
Takeaway? I don't know. You know, I always tell people, you know, just keep going. You know, just keep going no matter what life throws at you, you know. And I think we find power, like, in certain things. I always say, you know, turn pain into power, keep going. You know, we all have a purpose here. Live a purposeful, you know, life.
I like that. That came up in the last episode also, but I love what you said before. It's still ringing in my head, like, your weakness does not define you. Those weakest moments is not your defining moments. I really like that. So Gigi, thank you for sharing your story on the Sally Ellen podcast, and thanks for watching. Until next time.
Thank you for having me.